Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm back in my local park here in Mont-Tremblant National Park, and honestly I've been kind of enjoying going out to my local park repeatedly because with the season changes you get to see more stuff and you always find some nooks and crannies that are worth photographing. So I've been enjoying it quite a lot and I keep coming back here, and today I'm back here to kind of photograph in a section of the park that I explored not so long ago, and I do feel like there's some really good potential for some nice landscape photograph there. So I do quite like the area. I did photograph it one time in the winter time, but now in the kind of past fall time, you can see more of the under the what used to be under the snow. You can see more of the grasses, so it's kind of interesting. But once I'll get there, I'll show you what I'm talking about and try to find some interesting compositions there for sunset, because I have about 2 hours before sunset. I just got here like not 10 minutes ago, so I don't have as much time today to go out take pictures. I'm just gonna shoot that in that one area. Maybe I'll revisit it on my trip, but I'm here for 6 days, and the reason why I've come back is obviously I just want to be out. It's the park that's closest to my home, so it's obvious that I would come here for photography. But I did come back because I do want to photograph that area properly and just spend my time with it and just explore different parts of the park. But I'm here for 6 days, including today, so I'm excited. And kind of the reason why I'm excited too is I'm trying out a new camera, different from my usual camera, which is the Sony a7R4. The camera that I'm trying out is the FujiFilm GFX100S. Just to be clear, they did send me this camera as a demo trial for 7 days, for a week, but I just kind of stumbled upon it from the power of Google and my curiosity. They do offer a demo trial program. If you're interested in buying it, you can test it out for a week, and it was relatively very simple procedure, and I want to thank them for loaning me the camera to try it out. But the program is a loaner in case if you want to buy it. So this camera does pique my interest to buy it, and if I ever do like how the pictures go with this camera, I might be tempted to sell kind of my Sony gear and just invest in the FujiFilm, the 100S, with a maybe wide angle lens to start. I'm gonna continue on this trail to get to where I plan to shoot for sunset, to kind of explore, take some pictures with the camera and see what I get. I am curious about the quality of the pictures and just the functionality of the camera. Relatively, when I set up the camera, the menu functions were very clear. Easy to find the stuff that I'm used to finding in my Sony, so that was no problem. So I didn't have an issue kind of setting it up for what I like in my settings for landscape photography. So yeah, just gonna keep cracking on before I don't want to lose too much time with the light and everything. So I think it's important to continue on the trail, see what I get. I'm excited. This is a spot that I quite like for photography that I think has potential. It's just that I really have to find a good composition because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of these dead trees that are sticking out all over the place. I want something very minimal as a shot to kind of isolate with the reflection and the grass that's kind of a cool color, kind of amber. It's like really, and it's a nice tone for the color of the grasses. So, and what quite I like about this, that I came here like a week ago and there was like ice hanging on the edge of this tree here. I quite like the shape of it, and the ice was kind of in a sweeping motion around it, and it had these nice lines in it. It was a perfect leading line, but today's kind of warmer, so I think it all melted away. But I'll come back here when it's cooler and see if I can get some more winter compositions here, maybe with a different subject. So even though we're past sunset and this is in the shade, I do quite like the fact that even though we are kind of in the shade here, I do quite like the difference between the cooler amber, cool looking grass with a nice tone. And one way to kind of fix for that is that you can see in the reflection, you get some of that warmth from the golden hour light. So it's not too bad, it plays off really nicely. So if you can mix some of the cooler grass in the shade with that warm reflection of the setting sun, it could be really, really nice. So I just have to find a nice subject. This tree here on my right that kind of piques my interest. I just have to know where to frame myself for it to stand, because it's boggy here, it's kind of muddy, so I want to make sure to be in a place where I can compose a good shot. I am gonna try to find a composition here, and if it doesn't work, it's okay. I have 6 days here. I can come back and try to perfect my composition, but I really want to take out that camera and start shooting with it. So I'll go do that right now. See if I can it's quite muddy here. Look at that. Quite muddy here, man. So this is a tree that I really like. I think it's got character. I quite like the way it's coming out of the water and kind of sweeps up, fades into nothing. But I don't like the background, the bank, the edge of the water. I want a really minimal shot. If this was in the center of the water, completely surrounded by water, or something in the distance, really far away, but the bank is too close to it. But I think if I zoom in tighter on just a part of it and eliminate the bank completely, just have the water behind it and have that reflection with the setting sun in the water, I think could be really, really interesting. So I'm gonna set up this as a shot, try it, probably go for long exposure too, because I also want these grasses to be really blurry. I think it'll be more artistic this way. So let me get set up with that camera and we'll see what we get here. So before actually taking pictures, I'm gonna show you one thing. This is a GFX100S with the GF Fujinon 23mm prime. This is the lens that I got with it, and I also have the 100 to 200 FujiFilm GF lens as well. So I have one telephoto and one wide angle, kind of mimicking what I have with my current setup. So I think I'm gonna shoot this with the wide angle, and if it's not wide, if I need to zoom in, I'll put the 100 to 200 on. But just from scale wise, when I first got my hands on this camera, the first thing I can tell, it's the weight of it feels really hefty, which is quite nice, because honestly, like, I thought my Sony a7R4 was kind of hefty, but when I got my hands on this one, it really feels nice and solid in the hand, and I quite like that. It feels really grounded as a camera when you have that weight behind it. So when I compare it to my Sony with the 16 to 35, look at the two. This is like massive. I feel like this could eat the Sony for lunch, you know. Like, look at this, the two side by side. I don't mean anything bad by the Sony. I'm just saying the two kind of compared next to each other, this feels really hefty. But then again, it is a medium format camera, so you can expect that. But I'm gonna stop wasting time, get set up for some photos. So I'm gonna put on the 100 to 200 because I knew I need a telephoto lens here, and I think this is the lens I'm gonna be using today. You know what? I'm gonna shoot this horizontal because I do like the horizontal better than the vertical, and I might even go for a square crop on this picture, so I can shoot it horizontal as is right now, and if I decide to crop it, I can do that. So I'm just gonna frame up my shot here, and I'm getting a little bit of the bank that I was talking about earlier, but that's alright because it's kind of far enough in distance that it's kind of out of my shot. So I'm just gonna fill my frame as much as I can with my subject with that interest of the sweep. Try to eliminate as much of the bank as possible, and I just want to get a little bit of a hint of that reflecting sun behind me that's bouncing off the trees into that water to make it add another depth of. So right now I'm gonna shoot this at ISO 50 at, let's shoot it at f11, and I want to shoot a slow shutter speed just so I can get kind of a long exposure situation happening here. Alright, doesn't have to be too long. Here we go. I think that's good. I like this. I don't know. We'll try it. We'll see. I got 10-second timer, taking the shot, see how it looks. Could be a good shot, could be a keeper, could be not a keeper, but it's fun to experiment with these kind of pictures. I think I'm gonna try to check it by zooming in. Oh, the detail's really nice. Now that I kind of played around with this shot, I think it's interesting, but not quite with the light happening, but at setting sunlight is coming back behind me. It kind of went away for a bit, and I'm getting some more warmth in the reflection, as you can tell behind me. So I want to take advantage of that too before, so I'm gonna try to find a different composition here. Let's see, light is fading quick, so I lost that reflection, that warm reflection, and that kind of makes or breaks the image to have that. So if I lost it, it's no good. Got another picture I'm taking that quite like a lot. Oh yeah, baby. It's quite nice. So that's the tree that I was taking a picture of right there. And I wasn't taking a picture of the whole tree, I was just kind of slicing it this way. So I just kind of slicing it this way. So I just get a little bit of the trunk, just that little shoreline of those kind of interesting logs and that reflection. It's quite interesting shot. Quite enjoyed taking that picture. So those two pictures that I got, quite like them, but there's no more light happening. I mean, the sun went behind some clouds and I'm about 45 minutes from actual sunset, so I doubt there's going to be any light. The light's kind of diffused. And another thing piqued my interest is far in distance, you probably don't see it, there's like these nice shape of a log with a perfect double reflection of it. It's so calm. So I'm gonna zoom in as much as I can, try to get closer to that log, kind of frame it up nice and minimal and take that shot too with this camera. I really do like this kind of style of photography more. I've been finding myself kind of enjoying it more and more. So rather than shooting wide vistas, I've been really enjoying this. And all these grasses here, like this one that I shot earlier, is such a nice subject matter to photograph. Like you can compose this so many ways, and I'm gonna zoom in a little bit and show you. So that's the log that I find really interesting. It's just that small one there. It's perfectly reflecting in the water by the little rock and a bit of the shoreline behind it in the distance. It's quite pleasing to the eyes. I quite like it as a picture. So this is a composition that I have. I don't know if you can see that. I got a really nice reflection of the rocks, that little log there, and some of the shoreline, a little bit of the background reflecting. So I might take a shot just as is with a 10-second timer, and I think that looks really nice. And I'm focusing pretty much on that little log. That's kind of my subject. So shooting this at f8, 1.6 seconds at ISO 50, and it's coming out really nice. Let me just review that, and I'm gonna zoom in to see the detail on that. If you can see that, it looks pretty sharp and nice. Looks pretty sharp here. So I might just take one more for safety. Here we go. Just have that in the bag, and I'm a happy guy, happy photographer. After an exhaustive kind of walk around the whole area, it's like some parts are pretty boggy. I kind of wanted to get one more shot, something in my head that I have fixed really minimal, go for long exposure with some of these logs, these dead tree branches over with the grass, and have it really blurry and have the just very minimal shot. But I couldn't find a composition good enough and a place to set up securely without kind of my feet getting wet and kind of boggy and sinking in the water. So I definitely, maybe we'll come back here on my trip, maybe not. I'll try to explore different parts of the park. But just first impressions with the camera, I think I do quite like the sharpness of the photos that I've been seeing. But granted, when I'm talking to you now, I actually just seen these on the back of the camera, not on a computer. But from what I can tell, if I can actually make the switch, from what I can tell, I might make it, but it's too early to tell right now. I think I'll use this more for the next 5 days that I have here and just do some hardcore landscape photography for 5 days. That sounds fun on its own, even when there's not a new camera. So I'm excited to see what the rest of the days bring. For now, I'm gonna head back. I'm staying in the area just so I can actually be closer to the park here, my local park, and just kind of photograph every day. So I'm gonna go back, make something to eat, get some sleep, and try to catch sunrise tomorrow. I'll have to see if there is a sunrise, you know. Making YouTube videos is a lot of work, and if you'd like to support my channel, I'll leave a link to my Patreon account in the description of this video. Any help would be much appreciated, and I'd be super thankful, and you'd be super awesome to do so. If you have a Shimoda bag and you're curious to see how this fits into my large DSLR, I thought I'd show you guys. Here I have my A7R4 with the 100-400. I have my 16-35, so usually I just put it here with the lens on. It fits really nicely here, and it's just still crazy how the Shimoda design bag can still be so versatile. With the core unit, you can fit so much gear. I have like 2 camera bodies here, full frame and mirrorless body, and it still fits perfectly and still comfortable to hike in.